Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. I just want to check, make sure the audio is good because the last couple streams, things have not technical difficulties and things have not been going my way. So I just want to check this real quick. Let's just see here. Looks like it might be alright, but why is it? I'm getting like a. Hold on. Let's see. Is it working? I don't know. If you're in here, if you got good audio, let me know. Okay, yeah. It is working just fine. I'm going to actually keep this here so that way I can make sure everything is running smooth. But what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. The title of the video, or the title of the live stream, Sold Out. So I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit because I've not only just seen like one person, I've seen multiple people commenting, you're out of almost everything. Are you going out of business? Why is there no plants available? So, what happened is about 2 weeks ago, so normally we do an order every week. We normally get our plants in on Thursday. Sometimes Friday. It can move between between those 2 days really. But usually it's Thursday, so we'll get them in like Thursday afternoon, and by Thursday night the inventory will be updated. But what happened is, not this week, but last week, we didn't place an order for last week at all because after that weekend, we still had tons of plants available. Like, we made a lot of room in the tank so that way we can have more plants and be able to kind of just, if we need to miss a week of ordering new plants just because we have the inventory space now, it's okay. So last week when we were going to place our order, I was looking around and I'm like, there's really not much for us to order, and it's a waste to only order, maybe like 20, 30 plants, Like, we had sold out of a lot of plants. Like, we sold a lot of plants that week, but not enough to be like, all right, we're really low on stuff. We had plenty to go. And then Tuesday rolled around, which was our next shipping day. So this was on Sunday. So Sunday we looked to see like what the inventory was like, and we still had plenty of plants. So I was like, all right, it doesn't pay to order a package for $100, let's say all the plants cost, and then the shipping is $50, and one of us having to go to the airport and getting it, and it's a whole lot of expense for a small order that would be probably less than $200 wholesale. So I was like, you know what? Let's just skip it this week. And then we wound up selling a lot of plants on Tuesday, a decent amount of plants during the week. And then this Sunday rolled around and we placed our order. And then yesterday, Jake and Margaret packed all the plants before I even got home. And I went downstairs and literally the tanks are empty. Like, we only have I would say we're probably at like 15% of our overall volume. That's what we have left. Like, it's really scarce down there. I'm like, wow, we sold a lot of plants. So we did place a huge order this Sunday, so we'll have them in Thursday, and the plants will be restocked. We'll probably actually restock them tonight just because I have the shipping manifest that says what is in the box, so I know exactly what we're getting. So if you're looking for plants and wondering, hey, why don't you have any plants? Are you going out of business? We're not going out of business. Just had a really good week, I would say, and we got to restock. So that restock will be coming tomorrow. That'll be our normal plants, and then we're hoping to get a tropical order in sometime next week, so we'll have more tropical plants, but it may actually be the week after that. I don't know if we made this week's deadline, or next week's deadline. It may have to be the week after that, so we will see. Anyway, with all that pushed aside, let's see what we got going on in the chat and see who's here. So what's going on? Adams Aquatics, Jessica Taylor, what's going on? Levy's Ocean, Jacob, Gnarly Fish Tanks, what's up, dude? All right. So I got a question from Levy's Ocean, says, what is your favorite plant and what is your least favorite plant? Well, my favorite plant, I mean, if you're a longtime viewer and you watch a lot of the live streams, you'll know that I kind of go between a couple different plants, but probably the one that I like the most is Anubis and Boost and Bulbitis. Those are like my top three, just because they're super easy to grow. They're super slow growing. They don't need a lot of maintenance. You could just kind of set them and forget them. Ooh, so this thing is a little wobbly here, I just realized. Let me see if I can fix that. No, it's still wobbly. All right, my bad. So yeah, those are kind of like my favorite go-to ones. And my least favorite plant. Well, I see somebody asked also below that. Does anyone like duckweed, or do you like duckweed? No, that would probably be my least favorite plant. We're always constantly trying to get rid of it, but our tanks, we do our best to remove as much of it as possible. But if you let it go for a week, all of a sudden there will be a whole new, surface full of duckweed, even if you take out 98% of it. So it is annoying, but it is good. I've done a video on it. It is a superfood. It is good for the fish. If you dry it out, you can make fish food out of it, and so it's pretty good. What's going on, Christopher? How's it going? Christopher Gonzalez. Why does that name sound familiar? Do I know you? I feel like I've met you in person or something. Genji, what's going on? How's it going? Jamie Breaker says, my son is 1 month from his second birthday. How's the terrible twos going? Hi, well, I mean, honestly, not too bad, although literally right before I went live, the baby had eaten dinner, and then Margaret got an ice pop, and then the baby wanted an ice pop, so she got an ice pop, but then it started dripping, so Margaret licked the ice pop to, like, get it to stop dripping, because she wasn't, the baby wasn't licking it fast enough, and the baby got mad, and she did not want the ice pop after that, and she was furious, so then I tried giving her a cookie to cheer her up, and I gave her a cookie, then Margaret ate a different type of cookie, and then she wanted that cookie, and then, so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, with all these, desserts, and then the baby sees me, setting up in here, and she wants to come in here. She's crying at the gate. She eventually gets over here, and she's sitting on my lap as I'm finalizing all the setup and all that. And then Margaret's trying to take her, and she's like, no, mommy, no, no. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she was mad. She was mad that mommy messed with her cookies and ice pop. But Nova's great with me. It's Margaret that has the hard time. I guess maybe I'm just too easygoing and laid back. I don't, they're 2 years old. They're gonna have tantrums. They don't know how to contain themselves. That's the only way they know. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. And I've actually, because I've done, I've read up on parenting and all that, the best I can. Obviously, nobody is, naturally good at being a parent. You learn over time. And, so I did some reading and some audiobooks and whatnot to try and have some, be a little bit better prepared for different scenarios. And one of the things that was like, at 2 years old or between 2 and 3, if they're not really that verbal, which Nova's exceptionally verbal, but if they're not verbal and they're having tantrums, you just got to let them get it out. Back in my day, when I was a kid, I remember getting hit, or seeing my brothers get hit when they would act up when they were young, like 2 or 3 or 4, you act up, you're getting spanked, not like beat, but you're getting spanked, you're going to get put in a corner. And, after doing the research into it, that's not really essentially the best thing that you should be doing, and more of like, let them, get it out. And, they're 2, they don't really know how to communicate what's going on in their body and in their head. So you just, it's just, you gotta think of them as a person, but you also have to be like, all right, they're just not there yet where they understand, what's going on. It's all about them. And, so, so that, it helps doing a little thing. And I'm also just trying to get prepared for also Hector later on in life, and Nova later on in life, and helps, because the one thing I don't want to mess up is I don't want to mess up the kids. I want to hopefully give them a good foundation to be successful in life and instill good morals and values, and hopefully they follow their dreams and be a productive person, and that's all I can hope for. So it's just you hope you don't screw it up. So what should I get to replace duckweed? Dwarf water lettuce, frog bit, or red roof floaters are all pretty good. Dwarf water lettuce we're a little bit short on right now because this is the season where it kind of dies back a bit. So probably in another month we'll have a ton of it. Frog bit we're a little short on as well, and red roof floaters we won't have for a while. Also, we have some Slovenia. You could do Slovenia. Slovenia is pretty good. It's easier. It's much more easier to manage. Christopher Gonzalo. We're friends on Facebook. Okay, that's why I recognize the name. I know I've seen the name pop up on my feed before. Threes are worse, Jamie. They have opinions. Does anyone here like discus? I have 125 with 6 discus, 1 male, and the rest female. Can I get any more discus? It depends on the size of the discus. You know, if you have the little tiny ones that are like this big, you could probably have more. But as they grow bigger and over the years, you may eventually have to thin out the herd. But if they're tiny, I don't see why not. Do you like long-finned zebrafish? Yeah, they're pretty cool. I think you meant what audiobook do you like? So was it an audio? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't an audiobook. It was a podcast. The one particular one that I really liked was called Rad Parenting, and it was you listen. All advice is not for everybody, so you take and pick what you like out of the advice, and you apply it. But Rad Parenting, I don't know if their podcast actually continues anymore. I haven't seen a new one in quite some time, but there is a large backlog of it. So if you look that up on any podcasting apps, I did it straight through the podcast app on the iPhone, and they're actually pretty. They're also parents going through it. They have children that I think are a bit older, like in the teens. So it helps looking back at it, and I think one of them is actually like a licensed something that deals with children. So it works out. Best advice I could give you on your kids: choose your battles. I feel like that's older in life, and just let them be them when they're younger. But definitely, yeah, listen. At the end of the day, if they're not killing anybody or hurting anybody else or hurting themselves, what's the big deal? They're gonna have tantrums. They'll get over it. Everybody's had tantrums. I remember when I was little and I threw tantrums. Matter of fact, I was a little prick when I was little. The things that I would do, I remember it too. Like, it's funny. Like, you look back on it, and I'm like, damn, I drove my dad crazy, and I'm like, I wish he was still alive so I could be like, I'm sorry for all the things I put you through, because it was, yeah. If you want your kids to know in their heart that you love them, make and stick to your rules. If you let them do whatever, whenever, it sends the message you just don't care. Well, yeah, there's obviously rules. It's not a free-for-all, but there are certain things that I'm just not going to, over-exaggerate, Plus, I feel like also, and I know it because when I was little, I would purposely throw tantrums to get the reaction out of my parents, and I feel like that's, like, also somewhat of it. So I'm like, all right, she's looking for a reaction. Let's just leave her be, and she can figure out what, that it's not her appropriate behavior. So I have a 3-week-old and a soon-to-be 2-year-old. Oh yeah, Jamie, that's right. I saw the pictures on I think it was Instagram. Congratulations. I meant to comment, but been so busy. So, but congratulations, dude. My sister's also due in next month in March. And then Margaret's cousin just had a baby as well, so a bunch of babies happening right now. I didn't even know there were longfins one. Yeah, there is longfin zebrafish. Give me the terrible twos any day. Teenagers are frustrating AF. At least you get some cuddles with toddlers and preschoolers. Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm gonna miss. And Margaret had gotten her tubes tied, so there's no more little ones for me. We are thinking about actually doing possibly an adoption or foster care because for those of you that didn't know, when I was, how old was I? It was before my 4th year of elementary school. So it was between like I would say like 2nd to 3rd grade, somewhere in there. I was actually in foster care. Because my parents could not agree on stuff. So, yeah. So, it's, I kind of feel like, I'd love to have another little kid like Nova. And I think, like, opening our door to foster care and then possibly adoption, because the good thing about foster care is if a child doesn't have a home to go to when it's all done, the state will pay for you to adopt. So, it's like a win-win. We help out a kid. If it works out, they become part of our family forever. we don't have to lay out all the money that adoptions cost because it's expensive, and it's just a win all around. So I have a 14-year-old son. You can borrow him and try it out for a month of 4 years. Or 4 years, yeah. Truth, the struggle is real. That's right, it is. The youngest is 17, applies for one job and complains that no one is hiring. Yeah, see, I wouldn't stand for that. I'd be like, no, you better get out there. See, that's like one thing, laziness, I will not tolerate. No, like, I was working when I was 14 years old. There's no reason you like, I know it's like against the law to work when you're 14. Obviously, in most cases, you need working papers and all that. But I won't tolerate that. Once you're 16, you have your working papers. You need to get a job, and I'm gonna make them pay rent. And when I say pay rent, everybody flips out. They're like, you're gonna charge them rent? My idea behind it is I'm going to make them give me a small portion of the paycheck, and then I'm going to take that money and put it away for them, so that way when they are ready to, move out, maybe get their own place or want to buy a car or something, they'll have that money, and I'll give that to them and say, look, here you go. This is all the months that you paid rent, and here it is. And obviously wouldn't be much, either it'd be, maybe $100 a month or something, but just to get them in the state of paying bills in some sort of capacity. And look, you turned out just fine. Surprisingly, very surprisingly, my childhood and everything that was up until 19, I was pretty much like, so many things happened in my life. Maybe one day I'll do like one of those draw my life stories. I've actually thought about it, but there's a lot of hardship and stuff that is back there. But everything that happened in my life up until I was probably about 19 said that I should have been a loser, a dropout. Oh, I was a dropout. I was a ninth grade dropout out of high school, but everything that happened up until then, it was basically like, you should, you're not going to make it in life, essentially. Like, I had everything stacked against me. It was not in my favor to ever succeed, and somehow I still managed to succeed in some aspects of my life. I'm obviously in a decent position. I'm not where I ultimately would like to be, but I'm on my way there, and that's that's better than probably was ever in the cards for me when I was younger, because of all the stuff that I had to endure. So yo, is AE happening again? I haven't heard anything, so this is turning into a parenting video. It really is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it into a parenting video. I appreciate your transparency. I too was a foster child from the age of 13 until I was 21. Thank you for sharing. Oh, welcome, Christopher. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, the one thing that I have to say is, like, because I was so young. So let's see, what age was that? I'm trying to remember here. It's a part of my life. Like, I remember very few moments of that part of my life, because you're with strangers. And it's like, it's a really difficult thing for a kid to go through, and it breaks my heart every time I see a story about somebody, or I know somebody that's being affected by it, because I went through it. And sometimes you get lucky and you find a loving family that looks after you, and other times it's not as, it's not that great. So but yeah, I was probably, how old was I? Second to third grade, fourth grade. Let's see. Seventh grade is what, 12? Sixth grade was 10, 9, 8. So probably between the age of 7 and 8, I would say, is when I was in there. And I mean, I don't really remember a lot of it, but some of it I do remember. I used to train parents, bio, and foster in the system. If you need any help, hit me up. Oh, well, thank you. I definitely will. If Margaret's still, like, I haven't convinced her fully about it, because she kind of, Nova was like the last thing for her. She's like, I don't want any more kids after this, but and that was mainly because she just doesn't want to be pregnant anymore. She just was like, I'm done with it. I'm over it. I don't want to be pregnant anymore. This is it. And I was like, okay, fine. But adoption is a whole different thing. So we'll see. More fish related questions. Hey everyone, what is your favorite predator fish? Mine is a Air Prima and fire eels. I've never heard of an Air Prima. I'd have to look that up. Let's look that up. I want to see what that is. Fire eels I've seen before. Those are pretty cool. I'm not. Oh, this guy's big. Actually, we just went to the aquarium recently. I think they have these in there in the Camden Aquarium, maybe in one of the tanks. Wow, those are pretty monstrous. I like the red tail that they got. That's pretty cool. They almost look like an arowana and like very light, like subtle. Like the tail fin kind of looks like an arowana, and they're red, but those are pretty cool. And it's got the scales like it. My son works at Burger King. We deposit his checks into our account, move 75% to a savings account for him, and give 25% cash. He walks away with about $140 every other week. Yeah, see, that's pretty good. You know, I'm going to, obviously, you know, I like that idea of, you know, doing that. It also depends on the age. Like, once they get to a certain age, it's going to kind of be hard to dictate to them what they can and cannot do with their money. But I hope, you know, early on, like, I'm already teaching Nova. She could already say quarters, and she knows, like, literally, anytime she sees change, she takes it and she goes and puts it in the piggy bank. Like, she knows. And we have a big one of those Poland Spring water jugs, the 5-gallon ones, and it's literally like I would say probably about 30% full because she just finds all the change and she loves it. So hopefully that's like instilling in her mind early on, you know, kind of thing. So what would cause my plants to rot from the root up? They're probably either too close together, and what happens is when too many stems or too many plants are close together and one starts to rot, it can affect all the plants. It could also just be adjusting to your aquarium if it's new. The best way to combat this problem is make sure you plant your plants farther away from each other. So at least give it like an inch or two of space in between each plant when you plant it. And if it's rotting already from the root up, what you do is you go slightly above where the rot is. So get fresh, like green, healthy tissue. Cut it there. Toss the bottoms, replant the top, and you'll probably be all right if it's a stem plant. If it's like a rosette type plant or a crypt, it's a little bit trickier, but trim off the rot. Try and get to the good tissue as much as possible. Adam Aquatic says, we just had a couple arrested for 6 counts of child neglect and 4 counts of animal abuse. They were foster parents about 4 miles down the road. You just never know. Yeah, you know, it is a shame. Let's, you know, it just sucks. But there are good people definitely out there that, you know, take on that responsibility. But there are some people that definitely don't, you know, do what they should be doing. Why? Michael, what was Michael's question? Which Anubis has ruffled leaves? So coffee folia is the main one. Is there any other ones that I can think of? Coffee folia is really the main one. I don't even know if I have any. Do I have any? Yeah, I'm sold out, but I can special order them for you if you'd like. We don't normally stock them just because the thing is they don't really sell that well, and then they tend to not like, because they're in like our holding tanks, they aren't getting the type of care that they would need to really thrive. Like in a tank they would do fine, but because they're in with a bunch of plants, they're kind of huddled together, they're really close together. They don't like that. They want to be more spread out, and we just can't do that with the amount of plants that we have in. So we stopped stocking them. But if you want me to special order them any for you, I can. But those are really the only ones with ruffled feathers. Aripima? Is that how you say it? Compacted soil is another cause of the root rot from the bottom up. What's up, Anthony Brown? How's it going? In life, you try, you fail, you try, you fail. But the only true failure is when you stop trying. That is definitely true. Later levies, rope fish look weird. They do. Is the sound low or is it just me? I don't know. Is it? Let's see. I will check on my phone to see where we're at. Sounds okay to me. Maybe I'm just talking really low. I don't know why. It's every time I do a live stream, my voice just gets really like raspy, I feel like, and it's difficult for me to talk. sorry if it's a little low. Let me see. Maybe if I click a button, it'll make it louder. How about now? Does it make it louder? I feel like that made it louder. Okay, so it's the third setting on this thing. Oh, what did I do? Okay. There we go. Sorry. Sorry. This is like... I don't know why. I always have audio issues every time. But, okay, so what else we got here? Any other questions? I don't see any other questions. Yeah, we got off on a tangent. I'm gonna do clip the mic to your beard, right? I should just hold it like this, like I'm on the news or something, you know. All right, let's boop. Okay, it's way better. Okay, good. I'm glad we got audio problems fixed. Check. Any other problems? Are you planning on getting any corkscrew valve? What do we have? I'll tell you right now what we have coming in. Hold on. Gmail. Let's go to our Gmail. Tell you exactly what we have coming in. So corkscrew valve we don't get in anymore, mainly because it was small and didn't sell that well. But contortion valve we normally get in, which is just a bigger version of the corkscrew valve, which it doesn't look like we have any of that coming in. We do have Italian valve and regular jungle valve coming in, but no contortion valve, unfortunately. If you want, though, I could special order it for you on our next one. Being sold out is always a good problem to have. It is, but it isn't. You know, I have people saying, "Are you going out of business?" Because I don't see many plants on your website. I'm like, no, you know, just give me a day or two. Later, Jacob. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you hanging out with us. What is the rarest plant you have had? A couple different types of Anubis, like Anubis Snow White, Anubis Alba, Ludwigia White, Crypt Flamingos, Crypt Nuri, which is a rare crypt. Yeah, I think those are about it. Some boosters. How well do the white-leaved Anubias do? I would tend to think not as well, since they lack of green to take in light and convert for food for the plant. They actually don't do too bad. The really white ones, they're a little tough, but the ones that are marbled are pretty good, like Anubis Native Variegated. There's like so many different strains of them, it's ridiculous. Like they think of a name for every different size and shape and you know, all that. So but yeah, they grow alright. It's just the pure white ones, like Alba and Snow White, are a little bit tough to grow. I thought corkscrew valve could grow up to 20 inches. Well, what is it? I mean, at least 16 inches. Probably bigger than that. Like, I've seen it grow to the top of a 40-gallon tank before, and I'm pretty sure it can continue to grow from there. So the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure, like, so I don't have, like, 100% evidence, but I'm pretty sure there's two types of valve, or there's one type of spiral valve, and it's just corkscrew valve, but there's different sizes of it, and there's contortion valve and corkscrew valve from the suppliers. They label the smaller one as corkscrew valve, they label the bigger one as contortion valve. It's the same plant, though, in my eyes. Like, they look identical. If you were to put them side by side, other than the size of the overall plant, they're identical. But yeah. Anthony Brown says, sorry, I can't remember the name of the plant, but you talked about 3 red plants, one with the mini something. Can you grow with highlight, no CO2? So you're probably thinking of the Alternia Renaki, or AR, the video that I just did on Sunday. That's a relatively new video. And yeah, highlight, definitely. Doesn't need CO2, and they'd probably be really colorful with highlight, so you'd probably be all right. What's the biggest crypt? Like, are we talking the longest leaves, the thickest leaves? the biggest like plant base? What do you want to know? Because there's, I guess, a couple different kinds that could be. Okay, was wondering if the contortion valve grew taller. No, I would say they're roughly about the same size. Costata or Ponderfolia Chewy from Gnarly. Yeah, I would say that you're probably right with those two. Costata is a longer leaf. Ponderfolia is a broader leaf. But also Balance and Spiralis, and there's one more, I think. Those two are also long leaves. Do you sell your own brand of ferts? Yes, I do. I don't think I have any around me right now. It is called Vital or Vital X. If you check on the website, we should have them in stock. We also have root tabs. Do pick yourself up some, and remember, free shipping over $30 on the website. So pick up a bottle of fertilizer, a couple plants, and free shipping. Boom, there you go. Would Vesuvius Sword be a good alternative to Corkscrew Valve? Yes, and many people actually confuse Vesuvius Sword for Corkscrew Valve. I see it all the time on like Facebook groups and all that. People post a picture. You know, how do I grow this Corkscrew Valve? And I look at it, I'm like, no, that's a Vesuvius Sword. And luckily most people pointed out, I think most people now know about it. But when I first started in plants, before I even started selling them, my first order from an online supplier, I had ordered Corkscrew Valve, but got Vesuvius Sword. And I was like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And then it wasn't until I started selling plants that I was able to actually identify the two, you know, the difference. Vesuvius Sword actually has a much tinier leaf, like as far as like the narrowness to it, so it's very, very narrow. And the swirls are much more tight, like they're very tight, tiny, close together, where Corkscrew Valve are like these big swirls. So there's difference between the two. Yes, in Sunday's video, thanks for the info. You're welcome, Anthony, anytime. Have you heard of Crypt Willisii or Bichetti? I have. Both of those, I believe, are very relatively small. At least, I've never seen them get big in the time that I've kept them. So, but there's a possibility that they could get rather big. Well, Amazon Sword die in gravel with no root tabs. So, Hans, what you want to do is when you have just plain gravel, there's no gravel doesn't have the ability to hold on to any nutrients. And because Amazon Swords have a massive root system, they really need something to be able to absorb nutrients from. They can absorb it from the water, but it's at a much slower pace than it would be if they had something to grab onto it inside the substrate. So, yes, you can grow it in it. Will it die? Probably not, but it won't look the best. And root tabs go a long way. Like, you could put one root tab, that'll last you probably 3 months for that one plant, maybe even longer. And, like, the root tabs we sell, I think you get 25 in a pack. So, you know, you can go a long way without, you know, with it. So, I definitely recommend it. Your videos are very helpful. You're welcome, Bronzefish. Thanks for watching. Love the immersed plant tank in the background. Yeah, it's actually a little low. I have to fill these guys up, but this weekend was Nova's birthday, actually, so we were out doing things, and yeah, I haven't had time. So, and then this weekend is Valentine's Day, and I don't know, because we're going away Friday night. We're coming back Saturday, and then we're not shipping out orders this weekend. So the next time we ship orders is Wednesday, or, well, Tuesday night, but we pack them Tuesday night to go out Wednesday because Monday's a holiday. So just everybody know that if you place an order, it won't be going out. So, good morning from Singapore. Well, good morning. What is the name of the vine-looking bluish houseplant on the top left? Is it a succulent? Very pretty. It is, actually. That is called Boros tail or donkey's tail. It's a pretty cool plant. I literally water it whenever I remember, and it grows great, surprisingly. It's a very, very cool plant to grow. And literally every single one of those little balls that come off of it could be a new plant. And I should really trim the thing. It's growing really big. But I'm probably going to do that in the spring. I'm going to redo a lot of plants. I have too many plants too. Margaret just yesterday we put up a shelf in the bedroom to hang pothos on, and she's like, you know what we haven't done in a while? Plant shopping. I'm like, no, I know there's a reason for that. I'm like, I have too many plants. I need to start thinning them out a little bit because I can't keep up with them. There's too many. I went a little overboard. So she's like, are you feeling all right? I'm like, yeah. TI says, just getting into the hobby and doing a lot of research. Where would I look to make sure I am not getting a prohibited aquarium plant? Pretty much just type in like your state and what is it? Invasive species of aquatic plants, and a list will come up. There's actually one like master list that a website keeps that has everything on it. I forget the name of it, but all you gotta do is look up invasive species of aquatic plants per state, and you'll get which state it is. But honestly, most of the time they won't even check unless you're in California. Is really the only one that I know has really strict regulations regarding it. Just don't release anything into the wild. Destroy the plant if you ever do get a prohibited plant, if it's by accident or something. About 6 months ago, you mentioned the carbon media by Aquachar. How's the testing of that product coming along? Actually, that reminds me. Somebody actually commented the other day on that video and said, hey, where's the update video on it? I have to do that. I actually have not tested the pH since, so if I remember correctly, it was at about 7.6 when we put it in there, so we'll have to see if it's maintained. The tank's doing fine, so I can't imagine it's done anything crazy, but we'll definitely test the pH and see where it's at now, and see if there's any subtle changes or anything. Mosses, what's the secret? Tanks I have set up grow moss well, but not my own tanks. It doesn't attach, grows out thick, flowing in the water, and then turns brown. Tanks I have set up grow moss well, but not my own tanks. That's weird. Do you do maintenance? I feel like you're like a maintenance company or something like that. You're doing either way. So mosses. The trick is when mosses get really thick and full, you need to trim them. The reason being is so let's just say this is like your starting portion of moss. Well, it's going to grow up, out, over, all around, right? And what's going to happen is what's on the bottom is eventually going to get shaded by all the new growth. So what you need to do is you need to trim it and keep it, well maintained, and also turn off your filter when you trim moss because it'll get everywhere. But when you trim it and then you allow that moss that's underneath or getting almost covered to still get light and access to things. Also, flow. If it moss has a habit of what's it called? Not absorbing, but like trapping detritus. So if you ever like gravel back a pad of moss, you'll just see it suck up a bunch of particles. And that's because it's just like a sponge almost. Everything just gets trapped in there. So you want to trim it and try and gravel back it to get rid of a lot of that because, too much buildup. If there's just a mound of detritus sitting on the moss, it's just going to completely suffocate it. A little is okay. It doesn't need to be completely free of detritus, but oftentimes what I find is if you just leave it and let it go, it'll just be very compacted and you'll see a lot of it. I just looked over. There's a ton of algae growing in that aquarium now. I have to take care of that. Time zones are weird. That they are. Are flamingo crypts generally a foreground plant? And do you have any in stock? They are, and no, I don't have any in stock. I will try and get them, but I have not seen them probably for... I want to say I probably haven't seen them for like 4 or 5 months at this point. I think the last time we got some was like August or September. So they are a seasonal thing, kind of, because we'll usually get the tissue cultures from Complete System Aquatics. Those are normally the ones that we get. Tropica doesn't have them yet, unfortunately. I wish they did because they'd probably be killer. But the Complete System Aquatics ones are pretty good. Those though, they haven't had them in stock because I think what happened is they're a couple months of producing that particular plant in a tissue culture. And I think what happened is they initially produced some and didn't realize how popular the plant was, and just got cleaned out, and they haven't had any since. So hopefully they have them soon because I haven't seen them in a while. If you do want to wait for them from us, you could go to the website, plug in your email to get notified for that particular plant. Like if you go to, where do I want to go? Let's type in flamingo. Flamingo. So we have it's weird. Why is that coming up as flamingo? Anyway, let me copy this. I'm gonna stick this in the chat for you. So if you go to that that item, you can plug in your email there, and when we get it in stock, you'll get a notification. To clarify, I've donated and set up many tanks. I do set up tanks for anyone that purchases a certain dollar amount, as well as setting up tanks for friends and family. Okay, nice. Yeah, I was like, wait, the way you worded that, it makes me think you set up tanks, which is fine. I just it was just odd the way it was worded. So Dave Rice says, I love the parenting talk. I love to hear other parents be real about their experiences. Yeah, there are a lot of people out there that try and fake it, that's for sure. Listen, stuff happens at the end of the day. You just gotta learn from it. Nobody's born being a perfect parent. It's something that you learn, and you'll always be learning. You'll never be perfect at it, because the good thing about that podcast I was talking about earlier, if you were here for it, is for instance with Nova, I will only ever be a father of a 2-year-old girl once. I will only ever be a father of a 16-year-old girl once. And when that happens, it will be me being new to being that. So it's like a new job. I don't, I got to learn the ins and outs of it. And when I'm 60 and hopefully she's 30, and I will be a father of a 30-year-old, and that will be a new learning process as well. So it's you're always forever learning. It's never something that you're going to have mastered. Nobody does, and if anybody says they did, they're full of shit, because it's not. You don't. There's new situations that arise every day. So and you're never done being a parent until you are in the ground. So, way to get morbid and make the stream depressed. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Anyway. Sam Malone, 7-week-old daughter, new stuff every day, bro. Oh man, congratulations. That's awesome. So I'll go back to when Nova was first born. Like, I immediately, because Margaret had a C-section, so I was immediately, I had to do everything for the first couple days, because she really, she was still recovering from surgery and all that. And I kind of just immediately, picked it up. The nurses at the hospital actually were impressed with the way I was able to swaddle her, because I actually looked up, how to swaddle a baby on YouTube before, she came, because I was like, I don't know what the hell to do. How do you swaddle her? And I learned how to fold it really good and tight. She was a little burrito. She wasn't getting out of that. And but it goes back in my mind, that first month, she was just a blob of skin, and I'm just okay. It wasn't until she started cracking smiles and stuff that I felt a connection to her. I guess it's odd that I think about it. I think back on it, and it's yeah, for the first month, she was just a thing that was there, and I didn't know, I didn't know really what to do with it, and it wasn't, I don't know, I guess I didn't have that overwhelming, sense of love for her, that I guess most people, describe when they have their girl. I loved her, I knew she was, she's my daughter, and I care about her, and I'll be there to take care of her, but, I just didn't feel that instant, connection until she started doing things, so, it was, it's just weird, looking back, now, I couldn't, she has my whole heart. I would do anything for this girl. I freaking love her. you know, need me to off somebody? Don't worry, I'll take care of it, like kind of thing. But I just remember back to that and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, she was just a blob that I'm like holding, you know. She didn't do much. She wasn't that interesting at the time, you know. I don't know, weird. Sorry I had to step away. Someone walked into the office to tell me, I'll take your tanks off your hands. You can't keep a beta in a small tank. Wow. Quick, grab a plant. So this is a Birds of Paradise that is not doing too well. Well, I mean, it's doing alright, but I gotta trim it. It has some leaves. Ugh, and it's got a freaking mealybug. Because these three, that pothos up there, that pothos over there, they got mealybugs, and I've been trying to get rid of them to no avail. I've been spraying them with stuff to hopefully get rid of them, but it's not working. They keep coming back. This really needs to be trimmed. Matter of fact, well, while we're here, since I'm not doing anything that interesting, let's trim this guy up. So, did the video just get all grainy, or is that just on my end? No, it's still good. Okay. So, can and should are different. What size tank? Yeah. Alright, so, you see this? That's the dead leaf. You just trim that off down by the base. You want to trim it off down by the base because all that tissue doesn't do anything good for the plant. You see this rotting leaf? It's like halfway gone. It's going to just keep going, so we're just going to trim that guy off too. Alright, let's see what else. We got this leaf here. We're going to trim that off. This leaf over here, we're going to trim that guy off because it's yellowing. This bent one here, even though it's healthy, you know, it's still a green, healthy leaf, it's not looking nice, so we're going to trim that guy off. Trim this other brown one. Let's see. So I'm taking the outermost leaves off. I don't want to take off any of the center leaves if I don't have to. Now this leaf, so you have this leaf here, which honestly, what is that? I can't tell what that is. I should probably just take these two leaves off and like the four middle ones. Because what's happening is this plant is growing too close to one another, so the leaves are rubbing up against each other. And normally in the wild that wouldn't happen, but it's causing the plant to kind of get messed up here. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm actually going to trim this outermost leaf off. Even though that one's pretty much perfectly fine, and this one off too. Okay. Alright, so now, when they're crisscrossing, can I try and get it? I'm going to try and move this guy that way. Okay, and now, let's see what else. That guy's alright. That guy's alright. This guy has a little disintegration, but it's fine. Is that more mealybugs? That is more mealybugs, you mother. Hate these things. Have you tried neem oil? I do have some. I've tried it. I also am trying soap. Dish soap with some alcohol and water in a spray bottle, and it seems to work sometimes if you really saturate them. Oh, there's another one on this guy right here. You know what? Alright, I'm going to take off these two leaves here. That one. That one. And usually I find them on newer leaves. Let's see, does this guy have any? Yep, sure enough he does. Always find them on the inside of new leaves that are unfurling. Always. So yeah, this is Birds of Paradise. It's a really cool plant. I have a bigger one inside. These are just two smaller ones that I have here. And unfortunately it has mealybugs, which are a pain in the butt to deal with. If anybody has them, knows what they are. They are a pain. Oh, can't put this guy back this way. So, yeah. Let's see. I don't have a problem keeping Anubis alive, but I do have a problem with Java Fern with feathery leaves, micro something. What do you think the problem could be? That's a very vague question, Michael. I would have to know more about it. Details of what exactly is happening. Like, are all the leaves just turning black? Does it just die? Like, what happens? 2.6, it's small, but Spot's doing very well, assuming I hadn't have other options, and I'm going to give my tinks to random strangers. Just stupid. Yeah, that's silly. Those are notorious for mealybugs. Yeah, unfortunately, the pothos, like right now, this is covered in it. And I don't want to throw them away because it's a very good one, but honestly, I think I'm just going to scrap this because I have several other pothos. Like, this isn't the only one, but it just sucks that it got it. And the reason why these plants got it is because Margaret brought home a stray plant. So where she works in a hotel in Manhattan, and one of the tenants was throwing out one of the plants, and I'm like, and she brought it home. She brings it home. I didn't see any mealybugs. I checked it. I didn't see anything. It was a pothos, and so I put the pothos, and silly me, I didn't quarantine it. You should always quarantine your houseplants. Put them in another room, another space. Do not put them next to any other plants, because if they have parasites or bugs or whatever, they're going to spread. And silly me, I put those pothos thinking that they were free and clear next to other healthy plants, i.e. these, and they got them. So that's why these plants are back here. The succulent really won't get them, so I don't have to worry about that. The plants in the tanks could possibly get them, but I don't really care too much about them. They're I'll just trim them. That's not a big deal. But these other plants really suck that they have them. How do you keep water lettuce indoors through winter? I just leave them floating in the tanks. They should be fine. They haven't really been reproducing that much. Very slow growth rate on them, but they are surviving. How can I soften my water? How soft do you need to make it? You could also use RO water. That's a possibility to make it softer. What was the name of the plant you're trimming? That is a Birds of Paradise. Very cool plant. When they eventually get large enough, they could flower. They have a really beautiful flower. It's one of Margaret's favorites. But it would need to be really, really big. Can you talk about GH and KH for a plant a tank? Sure. What would you like to know, Sam? Thank you also for the $1.99 super chat. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, only systematics work with mealybugs, I find. Systematics? What's that? Have a shipment coming from you tomorrow? Oh, awesome. Can't wait. I'm excited. Let me know how it arrived. What if you uprooted the plant, washed it off underwater, and planted it into a potting mix? So the mealybugs tend to have eggs, and they will... Don't scrap it. Mail it to me. Mealybugs will lay eggs, and they're very hard to find entirely. So, I mean, I took the pothos that she brought home because I didn't want to just throw it out. So what I tried to do is I got it inside the shower over here with the spray head, and I sprayed it all down. Actually, I even took it outside now that I'm thinking about it. I took it outside with the garden hose, and I was spraying down every square inch to just try and get off all the mealybugs with high pressure water, and I took every piece individually. It was a bunch of them too, because it was like 3 pots total of pothos. And I took each strand out, I put it on the little table that I have outside, pressure washed it almost with the hose. Then I took it, I brought it inside, I put it in a giant bucket, one of the Home Depot buckets, with water, completely submerged the entire plant, right? I'm talking completely underwater. Left it there for 3 days. Thinking, okay, how can anything survive underwater that's not meant to be underwater for 3 days? Completely submerged. Made sure of it. I put a plate with a can of beans on top so it would weigh the whole thing down. So I knew it was completely submerged. There's absolutely no way that there would be any air, there. Nope. Sure enough, mealybug still survived. Eventually, I wound up throwing out all those pieces of pothos because those were just the ones that she found, and I was like, got plenty of pothos. The problem, though, is it spread to these, and it also spread to the really nice one that I have in my living room that I'm not ready to give up on, and then I keep spraying, but because the one that I have in the living room will literally stretch from one side of the living room to the other, so it's about 15-20 feet long, and I just won't get rid of it. Unfortunately, that's where all the other plants are too, so I'm keeping it like isolated, not touching all the other plants, but like I can't seem to get rid of it. So I agree, Adam. I work in a pet store. It just rubs me the wrong way to have a new employee walk into my office and tell me I'm wrong before even introducing himself. Wow, that is messed up. Basically where I need to be with it. I understand plants have different needs, but just some basic info about it. Just dose it and go with it or stick to a specific range. So, Sam, in regards to GH and KH, for the most part, it really won't matter unless you're on one extreme or the other. If you're somewhere in the middle, I would say just leave it and work it out. As far as GH and KH, though, related to like fish, now that is an entirely different thing. Plants, though, I mean, unless you're trying to grow really sensitive plants, then you're probably not gonna like. I haven't tested for GH and KH in 2+ years. Just doesn't matter. Like it's so minuscule. As long as it's not fluctuating or it's not in an extreme, it's not gonna really affect your plants. Now, there are plenty of scientists out there on Facebook that do all these plant, they calculate all these plant things, and there's a way for you to dose it. I see your next comment also, what to use for KH. I dosed GH booster from Colin. Like dosing KH and GH is fine, and just adding a little bit in there so it keeps it going if it's low, but as long as you're using something, it's fine. Like you don't need to go crazy with it. Just it's with like any fertilizer. I feel like people over measure stuff when it comes to the aquarium hobby. Like they're constantly checking their pH, their nitrogen, all that. Like unless you're having a problem where like you have algae outbreaks or plants are dying and you're not sure why, then it's like time to test. But if you're just growing plants and you're fine, then I would just leave it alone, really. But dosing it does help with the KH stuff. From my tap, it tends to be low. Yeah, so you just want to work out, the right levels. If you haven't tried it yet, go to rotalabutterfly.com. Rotala, right? Rotala butterfly. Nope, I'm spelling that wrong. Rotala butterfly. Here you go, butterfly. This is a really good site for anybody that wants to get into dosing and is unsure of stuff. If you haven't seen this, rotalabutterfly.com. So if you hold on, let me close out a couple things. So if I do this, hold on, we're gonna I really should set up a scene to do this. We're gonna shrink me a minute. Then we're gonna go to properties, window capture, and we're going to tell a butterfly. Does this work? Nope, not working. Hold on. I will get this. Uno momento, por favor. Hold on. Nope, wrong button. Plus, browser. Nope, hold on. I will get this. Plus, window capture. Okay. No, not that. Not that. Not that. Shoot, hold on. Ay. This is annoying. Oh, now I can't see myself. Hold on. Boop. Okay, I'm back. What if I just do screen? Can I just do screen? Display capture. Okay. Display one. What? Oh, come on. Why won't it do it? I can't get it to work. Come on. And if I do this, this isn't going to work either. Nope, that's just dual camera. We don't want that. Uh-oh. I'm messing everything up here. Okay. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. You know what? Whatever. We're just going to leave it. Anyway, go check out Rotella Butterfly. It's a really good site. Really good calculator to use. There's a bunch of different things. I wish I could figure out how to get it on the screen, but I can't. So weird seeing the chat and then the video catch up later. Oh yeah, true. The chat is a little delayed, or the video is a little delayed. But yeah, Rotella Butterfly. It's got nutrient calculators. It's got a couple other things, light calculator and all that. But basically, if you go under nutrient dosing, you type in your aquarium. Let's say it's a 30-gallon aquarium, and you're doing pre-mixed ferts. You're gonna go with your what is it? Your is it the I think it's the PPS Pro method, maybe, which I can't find now. Why can't I find that on here? ADA. Oh, that's premix. DIY. DIY is what you want. So, oh, well, unless it's a premixed. If it's a premixed one, like a GH booster, is it a GH booster or KH booster, whatever it is? I can't find it on here. Oh, GLA Ultimate GH booster. That's like one of them. So then you're calculating for what? Your dose to reach a target, result of my dose, estimated index, which is probably the, like, I would say honestly the estimative index is the best way to go, because you're just gonna dose based on it, but you gotta do a water change. So are you just using Facebook or an injected program? I'm using OBS, and I should be able to click on this, do browser. Let's try a browser. Let's see if this works. Browser. Nope, that's not working. Nope, that's not it. Now I have this. Get rid of this. Bye-bye. Okay. I'm having technical difficulties. Colin GH booster, at least I do EI dose. Yeah, so, yeah, it's under DIY. There you go. That's right. So, yeah, the DIY, select your compound. You do GH booster. Where is it? GH. That's GLA. You don't want GLA. You want Nylock GH booster using dry dosing or solution. So you go to dry dosing. Estimative index is the best way to go with, because you are essentially dosing enough that the plants are going to use, and then you just do your water change to clear it out. You don't want to, like, if you're trying to reach a target, you're going to need instruments for testing, and unless you have electronic instruments to do the testing, I don't recommend it, because the test strips, while yes, they are accurate, you're going to do your, like, that's just a lot of test strips to use. If you have a HANA instruments or another type of instrument to check GH, then it's much easier, but definitely use the estimated index. And then round to decimal digits past decimal. I don't know what this is. Auto, I guess, yeah. And then you calculate, and then it's going to give you your solution. So, your dose is that. What is it? So to reach your target of 5 DGH, you will need to add 32.55 grams, equivalent to 2 tablespoons plus a teaspoon plus a half a teaspoon, half a quarter teaspoon. Pretty much just get yourself a drug scale. No, one of those really accurate, gram scales, and you'll be able to measure out pretty ideally. What would be your NPK numbers unless you just kind of dose more than needed, like EI and water change out? Well, NPK is just basically your nitrogen, your potassium, and your nitrogen, potassium, phosphate. Why am I drawing a blank here? NPK. Um, so, wheat scales for the win. Yeah. So like your numbers, so your nitrogen can be at roughly about 15 to 20 parts per million before it starts getting into dangerous territories. And the other numbers, you don't want so much of them because they will cause algae, but you just want enough that the plants can utilize it. But keep in mind, with the estimated index, if you have a planted tank that is scarcely planted, like you have a couple of plants and it's okay, like, you know, estimated indexing dosing is for tanks that look like this, that have a massive amount of plant mass. If you don't have enough plant mass to sustain all that nutrients, you're going to get a bunch of algae. So what I recommend is doing half the estimated index first if your tank isn't full of plants, because you're just not going to utilize all those nutrients. And then you kind of just take it day by day and see what happens as you go along. Unless you see major deficiencies in your plants, then you're probably dosing enough. It's heavily planted. Okay, yeah, so if it's heavily planted, then go with, you know, whatever it says as the recommended dosage. Use a scale. That when I was doing the PPS Pro method and the dry ferts, I was always using a scale. It was much easier. I'd also recommend you get a one of those containers that you use for medicine. Medicine. What am I looking for? Word distribution, where you got like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And what I would do is I would weigh out each portion for the week and put it in those pill containers, basically. And so that way on Monday, I just open it up, dump it in. Tuesday, just open it up, dump it in. Like, it just made it much easier to plan it out, and rather than me having to sit there every day and weigh it out. So that's a little tip for that. It's heavily planted, but still get a bunch of algae. Highlight CO2 as well, but I'm new to EI. Yeah, so EI dosing, then, what I would say is, did you have the algae before everything, or did you start it all at once? And how new is the tank? Because it could be, if it's a green tank, meaning it's new, it could just be getting adjusted. I was telling my girlfriend about this. I'm getting one now. It's really ideal. Now, when you have, like, as many tanks as I do, it's just a hassle. But if you have one or two tanks, get one or two of the pill containers, and it works great. Like, it, by far. All right, so you were getting algae before. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it was the this tank is 2 months. Okay, so it's still relatively new. Like, I would say a tank isn't seasoned for at least 4 to 6 months. So you're still at a new phase in the tank process. So part of what I would recommend doing is identifying the type of algae you're getting. So if that's like green hair algae, black beard algae, green dust algae, brown slime algae, all these different types of algae, depending on which one you're getting, is where I would kind of fine tune and focus on. So if it's like black beard algae, I would assume that it's CO2 related. So then I would fine tune your CO2. Maybe you have too much, maybe you have too little, and kind of go from there. You could also start dosing Flourish Excel to try and cut down on some of the algae. It is an algicide, so it'll help kill some of it if you don't have shrimp or anything. Bro, you answer fast. Your live it works when you don't have 500 people in the chat. It allows me to connect more one-on-one. So that's why I kind of like doing these live streams, because it's not it's not crazy. Blackbeard algae sucks that it does. Hey Justin, loving the plants. You are great. Thanks, Donald. I think you just ordered recently. That name. I did see an order from you the other day. It was like 2 weeks ago. I think you ordered, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Donald Wilson. But I appreciate the support, Donald. Subscribed. Well, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. We're actually up over, what are we, 31,000 now? Are we at 31,000? I forget where we're at. 30. It says 32, but that's not right. It's 31. Yes, the jungle valve. Yes. Yeah, okay, that's right. You got the messed up leaf. That's right. I remember. I hope the replacement came in good. And sorry about that. Sometimes, gets beat up during shipping, so. But guys, that I'm about at my time limit, so I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Sam, I hope I answered all your questions. If you have more, feel free to email me. I'll help you the best I can. And yeah. But other than that, guys, I have to get going. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. So that would be our next live stream will be on the 26th. Dormant spray for mealybugs. Dormant spraying. I will look into that time limit. Yeah, I know. I gotta go though, cause yeah, need to buy from you. Been using DFT for a while, and you did awesome. Hey, wait. All right, I will wait. What do you got, Adam? What do you got? I'll give you the last question. Goes to Adam. Dormant spray. All right, I'm gonna notate that. What time? So we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. And maybe sometimes I run a few minutes late. If I'm not live streaming, and it's every other Wednesday. It's not every Wednesday, so every other Wednesday. If I'm not live streaming by 7:15 on the expected Wednesday, then just assume I'm not streaming. So, any interest in a mono shrimp for your tanks? Probably not right now. But if you have some that you need to get rid of, feel free to message me. Jake may take them, or you know, I could always put out a blast on Instagram or Facebook if anybody's looking for any, and you know, you could ship them to them. All right, last couple of things. Thanks for talking my ear off while I got stuff done. See you in a few weeks. Definitely, Nisi, appreciate it. I'm gonna have to look into dormant spray. Let me do that right now before I forget, because I know I'll forget dormant spray. I need to kill these mealybugs. I really do. So if this stuff works, that's great. Dormant spray. Dormant spray. Is this okay to spray inside? You mix it with water, spray on the leaves. Hubby used it all the time when he ran in the nurseries. Does it work? Are you okay to use it inside though? That's my only concern. Yeah, all right. I'll look into it. Dormant spray. Okay, cool. I appreciate the tip. Could you have had goldfish eggs in one of your plants? I have a baby goldfish. I have no idea where from. I would say probably not. With that said, there's always a possibility that where we get them from could have had goldfish, but I highly doubt it, because goldfish would destroy their plants if that was the case, or most of them anyway. So I very much doubt it. Ginger, I don't know how you got goldfish. Are you sure it's a goldfish? He used to take care of plants in hospitals and malls. Just don't spray too thick. Okay. All right, I will definitely look into the dormant spray here. I found some on Amazon, so I will try and find one. All right, guys, I gotta run. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all on the 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, great President's Day weekend. I may run a sale. Haven't decided yet. We shall see. But keep a lookout. How long to grow that donkey tail? I've had that for about 1.5 years now, so maybe 2 years. I might have had it 2 years now. Absolutely goldfish. I could have moved it in with guppy grass from my goldfish tank. Didn't think they spawn. Yeah, that's always a possibility. You never be able to see the fish eggs sometimes. Like, they'll be trapped in the guppy grass. That's a definite possibility. But I don't have any goldfish, so definitely not me. But, all right, guys, I really got to run. Thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you all soon. And, yeah, later. Enjoy your week and weekend. Peace.